भाई ये किसका है? तेरा तो पकड़ ले।
अरे टेबल गिर जाएगा यार।
अरे क्या कर रहे हो तुम लोग यार?
कैमरा वाले के पास ही
केजरीवाल जी
You started the journey with TIFF, and then you won the Audience Choice Award in IFLA. And you have been showing it all around Hong Kong, Mexico, Geneva, South Korea, all these countries. So, what I want to ask you, how are the global audience relating to a hardcore local political story?
Interestingly, everybody relates to the film no matter where they are. So we've shown the film in Canada, we've shown the film in London, and we've shown the film in Europe. And we always have people, somebody from Ottawa in Canada will come and say that, oh, my electricity bills are high too. And which is like something that the film talks about. And similarly, someone from Poland will come and say that we have a corruption problem as well. So in Spain, in our screening, they have this Podemos party, which is similar to the AAP. And they, somebody from the Podemos saw the film and said that this is exactly like our story. So people really identify and relate to it, to the universal ideas and themes in the film.
So that just shows that it's not just India's issue. It's an issue of every country. Something either in a small way or in a big way, right? So they can relate and they probably wish, oh my God, I wish we could do that as well in our country. So tell us, you can talk about that, is how was the process making the film? I know you shot like 300 hours, right? So, and while you were shooting, you had no idea what you want to keep, and it must have taken, I can't even imagine how the editing was. So tell us a little bit about that.
We started the film in late 2012. The two of us began shooting. We shot for the next year and a half. Initially, it was just the two of us, and then we obviously got a team on board. We shot for a little over 400 hours, and then had the task of culling out an hour and a half film from it. It's been a very humbling journey. The project has been supported by a crowdfunding campaign in India, wherein we were looking to raise $20,000 and we landed up raising $120,000. So it's been a very humbling journey in the sense of people reaching out and wanting and telling us that they are looking for other sources of information around topics that concern them. People are very interested in politics and everything that's happening in India, and they're looking for more storytellers around stories that concern them.
So is it, this is the reaction, of course, we know global citizens gave us. So what's the reaction for literally Aam Aadmi in India?
We haven't been able to show the film very widely in India yet. We are still trying to get a censor certificate. But we've had some small screenings, one screening in the Mumbai International Film Festival, which was amazing. We even got like a standing ovation there. People came to us after the screening and really, appreciated the film. It really was one of the best screenings that we had. So if that screening was an indication, we hope the film will be appreciated by Indian audiences as well.
And April has been it's been a very interesting month for you. Every weekend from one city, one country to another, right?
Yeah, we've had a very dense month of screenings. Hopefully May is also going to be extremely dense. So and then we'll see from there on.
Whether it goes on Amazon, Netflix, and right?
Or maybe some other platform.
All right, all the best. May you continue to make amazing films and you get significant response for this insignificant man.
Thank you so much.
पहली बार एक नई आइडियलिस्ट यंग जनरेशन के लोग कह रहे हैं नो आई डोंट वांट टू शन पॉलिटिक्स आई वांट टू ट्रांसफॉर्म पॉलिटिक्स
कसम खाता हूँ कि अपनी जिंदगी में ना कभी रिश्वत लूंगा
say this is a fantastic event. This is the second year actually I got the opportunity to be here. It's kudos to people that are putting it together. It's a festival that I would highly like to see pretty much every year going forward. We were here a couple of days ago, watched An Insignificant Man. I think it's such an amazing movie. I think it kind of highlights one of the biggest challenges that's going on in India with the anti-corruption and everything else, and to see a whole party, to see that grassroots movement take on, kind of highlights how significant the problem is. So the movie was fantastic. Directors did a fantastic job. Really enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward to going in and watching Lipstick Under the Burqa. I think, again, it's a very catchy title. It's a real problem that needs to be, I guess, brought to the forefront. I'm actually disappointed that it got banned in India, but I'm looking forward to going and seeing it.
Happens between the Jan Lokpal bill, anti-corruption protests, and then the Aam Aadmi Party, and then of course the debates between Kejriwal and Anna Hazare. Also, the movement around anti-corruption was much more middle class and seemed to be the base that the Aam Aadmi Party is mobilizing for the elections. I just wonder your thoughts about what that shift was like, experiencing it, what it was like to try to document it, because it does seem that the Jan Lokpal bill did not have the, Bijli Sadak Pani kind of feel to it. It had a very different kind of set of motivations, and that's why it brought out the middle class. But by the time the Aam Aadmi Party comes out, this is sort of bread and butter, Gandhian politics of, infrastructure stuff. So I was just curious what that felt like, or what you noticed while that process was happening.
I think that the shift from being protesters to politicians, definitely there was a class element to it. The middle class usually, in India, usually does not come out to protest that much. I mean, historically, we've seen since these protests were the biggest protests post-independent India had seen. And once the protests kind of died down, these guys, not everybody translated into supporting them. So they were almost starting from scratch, except for a common denominator of some supporters who went along with them. The reasons for that, I suppose, is that there is an inherent distrust for politics and politicians. And I mean, even in the film, you see people saying that anybody who chooses to become a politician is not worthy of trust. So that's, I think, a very, very strong sentiment in India.
Not anymore.
It was astonishing to me this time watching it. I watched it earlier this week. The first thing that I noticed was that there was no, intervention by a voiceover or some kind of person coming in and saying this is the kind of narrative thread that we want to connect. But I was struck by the soundtracking this time. It seemed very, very thoughtful in terms of how you wanted to set the mood. Maybe you want to say something about the decisions to either not have a narrator and then how the soundtracking worked for you.
We knew we were going to make a political film, and political films can be very divisive and polarizing. So not having interviews or voiceovers was, in a way, a decision which was aided by the fact that we wanted to be like flies on the wall, just allowing things to unfold which we could then narrate like a story. The soundtrack was actually done by a Norwegian composer called Ola Flotum. We deliberately wanted to do, we were looking at Scandinavian sort of music and soundtrack because they have this really melancholic sort of a feel to it, which works well for a political film like this because we didn't want to add to the jingoism and the loudness of the film. We wanted to bring some distance, it worked well for us to work with Ola for that.
Let's talk about the whole process.
What was the question?
The question is
About editing?
yeah.
How they got from the several hundred hours down to the 95 minutes, and then the process of how they decided to release it when they released it.
Yeah. I think besides the fact that there were 400 hours of footage, editing became more complicated because we were not using voiceovers or interviews, which meant that we had to rely purely on material that we had shot to convey not just a narrative, but also information. And that was a big challenge. We still doubt ourselves whether we've been able to communicate everything effectively, but I think that, and that is why it took us a long time to edit the film. Like you said, you said that some people thought we had missed the boat. Some people thought we had missed the boat like several times over. But the lady there said that we wanted to make a film that was not just topical, that was not just saying quickly what is happening, but something that could be reflected upon, something that had a deeper sort of connection to ideas, and something that would be a sort of time capsule in a way, hopefully, to go back to.